Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Lodge, and today I'm going to do a bit of a pickups video, which I don't often do, but of course we've had Christmas and also I've had some pretty significant things come into the Hobby Lodge that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, let's do a bit of a pickup. We'll talk about stuff as we go, but this is stuff I got for Christmas, stuff that I've actually gotten from other people that have visited the Hobby Lodge, and that's always very nice and very welcome. Some special stuff that's special stuff sounds like I've got a delivery of something, but yeah, my dad has been to visit over Christmas and brought me something that was very special to me, and also I just got lucky with something, and I can't wait to tell you about that as well. So let's just jump into the pickups first of all. So for Christmas, I don't tend to get a lot of stuff like hobby wise for Christmas, because it's really weird to go and ask family to go and buy you X game on the Amiga or whatever it is. So because they don't know, they want to get you something, they feel like they're getting you because they want to get you something, and that's what I tend to feel. So I like people to just surprise me. It's okay. I never ask for anything anyway, and as people that are sort of in this hobby, we tend to buy the things we want throughout the year anyway. We don't, not many of us wait for Christmas and New Year. So I'll show you the stuff we got, and some of the gaming stuff is more for the family, right? So for the first thing we got, which was really for my son, my youngest son, was Pokemon Scarlet on the Switch. The household has become a bit of a Pokemon mecca. I don't know why. Because my entire family, apart from me, play Pokemon Go. It's like whenever we go out for dog walks or family walks or wherever we might go, there's been a resurgence of Pokemon Go in the house. They've been playing the older games as well, and of course when this one came out, they wanted to get this. So yeah, we got Pokemon Scarlet. My youngest son, I think, I don't know if he's already finished it, but he's already a significant way through it. But you know, they're fun games. Well, for them they are anyway. The next one up, actually, I picked up, and that was off the back of people like Sega Zombie and Knots Gamer, who were playing this on, one did reviews, also did the streams, and they said that you should go and pick it up. Now, I'm not, believe it or not, I don't think I've played or completed many Sonic games, so I am looking into this one. I put it on the PS4 just because it was super cheap on the PS4, and it comes with a free PS5 upgrade. So that makes complete sense in this house, because we have PS4 up at the house, and also my son Blake has a PS4 in his room, and then we have the PS5 down here. So it means we can play it in multiple areas in the house. I can play it digitally on the PS5, because basically that's what it does. It just downloads a digital copy of the game. You have to have the CD in still, but it just downloads a digital copy. But then we can take it up to the house and play it on the PS4 up at the house. So yeah, picked up Sonic Frontiers. It looks good fun. It looks maybe a cross between Link's Awakening and obviously with Sonic in it, and yeah, from all the reviews and gameplay I've seen, it looks like a good fun game. So yeah, it was super cheap. I think it was like £25 or something, which for a brand new game is very, very cheap. The next one is probably the one that everyone's talking about, and in this household, you know, it's the first week of January and it's already been completed, and that is God of War Ragnarok. And this is my son's Blake's favorite game. He completed the first one, absolutely loved it. This was under the Christmas tree for him, and he also got the PlayStation 5 headset and the red controller because he really wanted that. That was pretty much his Christmas bundle done. I mean, that's an expensive 3 items because these games are not cheap, but it looks fun. I mean, I've watched him play it. I played it through him essentially. While watching him play it, I saw it all going on, and it does look amazing. Is it my cup of tea? Maybe not, but I'll probably give it a go, but it looks very good, and it took him, I'm going to say 30 hours, but being a kid, you know, you can do 10 hours in a day and no one blinks an eye. So yeah, he got through it. I think he has completed it. I don't know if he's planning to do a platinum or anything on there, but it does feel a bit of a shame to have spent, you know, 70 quid on the game and it's done. But hey, the other kids will play it for sure. This is some stuff that I actually got. So one of the things I did want to do is sort of build out a little bit more of my Dreamcast collection, because I really enjoy playing the Dreamcast. I did a live stream of it a little while ago for my Monday Night Retro, and I kind of felt like I was a bit short on games. So I did sort of make hints to people. In fact, I bought some games and gave them to people to give to me for Christmas, sort of thing. So these are the ones I picked up. So start off with, I've been wanting this game for a long, long time. I'm a massive fan of the series. the original one on the Super Nintendo is still probably one of my favorite games of all time, but it is Street Fighter Alpha 3. So yeah, I wanted to get this one. I've been told many times that the Street Fighter 3 era is one of the best. So yeah, looking forward to playing that on the Dreamcast. I'm interested to see how it plays on the Dreamcast controller, because it's a wieldy controller for me. It doesn't feel, you know, the Super Nintendo pad is the king. So let's see how it plays with using a Dreamcast controller. Next up was just kind of one of the classics you need to have. So obviously we talked about Sonic Frontiers. We've now got Sonic Adventure. So yeah, another one. Actually looks very, you know, feels like Sonic Frontiers is obviously an evolution of the Sonic Adventure games. Next up was another classic that I loved playing this in the arcade, and of course it was on everyone's list when they said games I should look to pick up, but it is Crazy Taxi 2. But again, played it loads and loads and loads in the arcade. It's a great game. Now this game, I own the first one, so I now own the second one, and it is these are games that I wish I was good at. Like I keep saying this on many videos if you've seen me. I wish I was good at shoot 'em ups, because I love how they play, I love how they look, I love the craziness that goes on and the power-ups and all the stuff that happens, and the music tends to be fantastic, but I just never get any good at them. But this is the second one, and I picked up Gunbird 2. So yeah, and these are all complete. I got really lucky when I got these. I know I say that they were presents I gave them to other people to give to me. These are all from CEX, and if I did CEX roulettes, I would have been a winner on every single one, because every single one of them turned up complete with a manual and in great condition. So yeah, maybe would have made for boring CEX roulettes, but I know a lot of people lose on them. I won every time, so very happy. The next one up was just a recommendation that came through, and that was Outrigger on the Dreamcast, so I have that one. And then this one again is a game that I really like the look of, and I meant to pick it up a number of times and never have, because it is a little bit of a pricier game. Some of these are a little bit pricey, but it's Zombie Revenge on the Dreamcast. It looks like a really fun game. So that's added to the Dreamcast collection. None of my other collections are going to get that big, so that's probably, you know, there's probably only a couple more that I would want to add to the Dreamcast. I think I now have a good coverage to get to know the system and play games. So yeah, it's the collection's behind me, but it's never going to be huge. Never going to do that. I will show this. This was actually a present from another tuber who often comes around and visits, my new neighbour, which is Lee Nerdy Geezer. He sent this to me the other day, and I was genuinely quite blown away, quite chuffed, because yeah, you just don't normally get gifts in this way. So yeah, thank you, buddy. It's a super nice thing to have sent me. And he sent me, it is a large Space Marine. So this is a Space Marine Reaver. But obviously what is different about it, I wish I had thought about this. I'd have had a Space Marine here. Let me grab a Space Marine. Maybe I'll do a fancy edit. I don't know, did I do a fancy edit? Who knows? So this is the size of a normal Space Marine. This is a 28mm Space Marine that is not going to focus. Come on, buddy. Come on. Let's do this. Let's focus up. I feel like a Retro Chef. Right, there we go. That is a normal 28mm Space Marine. This is not. So as you can see, a very big difference between the one above, this one and this one. So this is a range that they've done. There's only very few of them, as in different models, but it's a much larger scale sort of representation of a Games Workshop Space Marine, and they come in two forms. They come in painted and unpainted, and as you can see, this is unpainted. The painted ones, I'll say this, they're very basic. They are just coloured panels. There's nothing fancy about the paint jobs on them. They haven't done anything of any significance. So I am really glad that he picked me up the unpainted one. He knows how much I enjoy painting miniatures. I've fallen, not out of love with it, but I've fallen off the wagon a little bit. I haven't painted in a little while, and this is going to be a fantastic project for me to have a crack at this year, and also something I've never done before. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be able to use the airbrush on this. I'm going to try doing some, you know, you've got to scale everything up. So normally when you're doing damage or you're doing all sorts of details on a 28mm miniature, you know, you're working to tiny amounts. A little squiggle might look like something, but obviously when you blow it up to something of this size, you got to put a lot more care into what you're actually doing. So yeah, really looking forward to painting that. Lee, you didn't have to do this, buddy. This is beyond nice, so thank you very much for that. And this will get painted up and it will get displayed in the Hobby Lodge, and maybe we'll even obviously do a live stream or a video on it so we can do it. And I also have your other miniature to do as well. I might as well mention it here, but I'm going to do a proper video on it, so don't worry. But he also gave me this, which is a 28mm Dreadnought for Games Workshop as well, and this is actually his. He bought this from eBay and would like me. It didn't break; it's meant to come apart. Honest gov. And he would like me to do a bit of a rescue on it. You know, it's been painted, but it's not been painted fantastically well. So I'm going to be seeing if I can rescue it in some way and make it look awesome. Yeah. So that was that. Thank you very much. Another thing I picked up. I have done a video on this, but it was a homebrew game for the Amiga, Black Dawn Techno Mage. A very sort of hard to describe, but slow, deliberate, dungeon delving type of game on the Amiga. Very interesting. Now, I'm not going to say too much about it because there is a video all about this game. If you want to check it out, just go and look for the Black Dawn Techno Mage video, and you can see all the details that come along with it. What else did we get? So picked up this. This is the Jace and the Wheeled Warriors complete series set. So it's 5 DVDs in here. There is 24 hours of cartoon. It's my number one cartoon of all time, I think. I'm just going to check myself to make sure I believe that's true. I think it is, so I'm going to go with it. But yeah, this cartoon is just Sunday mornings at like 6:30 a.m. turning on my black and white telly in my bedroom quietly because I didn't want to wake up the house. And one of the first things that came on when Channel 4 started in that time in the morning was this, or you know, the classics, the Ulysses, all those others. But this one is ingrained in the brain, and yeah, I used to watch this all of the time. So to have this, I can't wait to sit my kids down in front of this and make them watch it. That's right, I'm going to make them watch it like homework, and hopefully they fall in love with it as well, because it's great. And the soundtrack, I mean, I might insert a bit right now. I hope you got some of that. So let's see. But yeah, fantastic. I probably got copyrighted if I did do that, but maybe who cares. Other things, I got this thermosy flask. Look at this, look. Nice little Mario thermosy flask. So when I'm coming down to the lodge in the mornings, it can be a bit cold down here. I get to put my tea into a lovely mug and, you know, keep that. Although, on mugs, I got the daddy of all mugs as far as I'm concerned. And it's gonna be difficult for me to show you this because it's currently full of tea, but I'm gonna put a picture up anyway of what this looks like, because you won't get why this is the daddy of all mugs when I first show it to you. So look, I'm a big Disney fan, right? Disney to me is family. Disney to me is being with my kids. We've been to Disneyland so many times. We've done America and we go to Paris very often. You know, maybe well, in the last few years it's been almost every single year. So it's and it's also a big thing for my kid. I went with the school the first year that Disney opened in Paris. That's why I have the 30-year Disneyland Paris, because I was there when it opened, and we were there on its 30th anniversary as well. So Disney's a big deal. So my wife picked me up this cup, which is the Stitch mug. It's huge. Look how big this thing is, to hold a lot of tea. Now, I can't show you because it's full of tea, but there is something on the bottom. So hopefully there's a picture appearing on the screen now. There we go. That's why I loved it. When I picked it up in Disneyland, we were last there in October of 2022. Got that right. I saw this in the shop and it made me laugh. And I was like, oh, that mug is so funny. I'd love to have that in meetings and all sorts. And when I'm doing presentations online, to be able to drink out this mug will just make me smile. You won't see the smile because you'll be looking at what's at the bottom of this mug. But anyway, that's that. I'm going to put this down. It's too heavy. All right. So, The next thing to jump into is I had Alex U Star Gamer come to the lodge. He came and said hello. And yeah, he bought some presents, which is amazing of him. He didn't need to do that, but he did. The first thing he brought me was a copy of Super Mario Bros. 2. Now, I don't actually own this one, but it is potentially my favorite Mario game, or certainly on the NES it's my favorite. I love the style of it. I like the way it plays differently to the other games. That's a really bold statement given how good Mario Bros 3 is, but certainly it's very different and extremely enjoyable. The play style of it, the way you pull the things through your body and throw them like they're catching the eggs thing from the whatever those stupid monsters are called. I really like the side-on style. I like that each character has a uniqueness to them. I just generally really enjoy playing Super Mario Bros 2. So I'm looking forward to I mean, it's been a blimming long time since I've played this, possibly more than 30 years since I played this game, so I'm gonna really enjoy putting that in and playing it, especially because it will be plugged into my wife's original NES. So there's a lot of that's a lot of good stuff. He then brought me this, which I've never seen before. I didn't even know this existed. So this is, now everyone will know what this is, hopefully. If you haven't read one of these before, you should. If you have children, you should get them to read these. They're amazing. But I've not seen this type before. So this is the fighting fantasy book, Forest of Doom. Now, I'm sure people would have seen that image before on many things. And if you haven't read a fighting fantasy book, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is essentially a book where you have an adventure inside. And unlike a book where you just read from cover to cover, in a fighting fantasy book, you can move all over that book. As you make decisions in the book, you might go to different areas of the book and continue that adventure. You can die in fighting fantasy books. In fact, most of them you will, and have the adventure again and try and change decisions that you made to see if a better outcome happens. They used to be called the books with 5-finger bookmarks, because as you read them, you would leave your fingers in the book at pages where you'd made decisions, so you can go back and forth. But that's just not what it, right? Because if you look at the front of this, it says the Forest of Doom software pack. So inside is a copy of the book, the Fighting Fantasy book, Forest of Doom, but there is also a Fighting Fantasy Commodore 64 tape. So yeah, have fired this up. It is essentially a graphical representation of the book. You create a character in the beginning, just like you would in the book. You read passages of the book and make decisions as you go, and it is represented on the screen. It's very simple. It's text-based. It's nothing fancy, but it is a very cool thing that I didn't know that existed. So, Ian Livingstone, we've met him. Me and my kids have met him. He is now a sir. He's been knighted by the Queen before she sadly passed away. So yeah, he's very famous in these circles. We got him to sign some books for my kids when we last saw him at UK Games Expo a couple of years ago. And yeah, this is a very cool object for me because, like I say, I'm attached to all of the things. The adventure books, we've got lots of them, and they're fantastic books. The fact that there's a Commodore 64 game with it as well, and it is by the great Ian Livingstone, is pretty darn cool. So yeah, that was that. Other bits and pieces he brought, of course, more Commodore. Of course it was going to be Commodore. He knows the score. Some of this stuff I've never heard of, but I can't wait to check it out. We have got Enclave on the Commodore 64. Not had a chance to play it yet. River Raid, which I have played. River Raid. I'm sure many people know this. I'm pretty sure this came out on a lot of 8-bit systems back in the day. This one I'd never seen before. Killer Until Dead. Yeah, killed until dead, which seems like a strange sentence. Like dying of death. We then got this Federation Quest BSS Jane Seymour. Never heard of this. And this is on the Amiga, I think. If I am not... Yeah, it is. BSS Jane Seymour. Got a cool front cover on it. But yeah, I have no idea what this is. it looks like yeah, it looks a bit, I'm not going to say this, but it looks a bit like Techno Mage, which I showed earlier, which is kind of that adventure game where you're looking through the eyes of the protagonist, and you're moving around the ship and collecting items and doing puzzles. So yeah, I will definitely have to fire that up and take a look. It looks very similar game type. And then this one, which is an arcade conversion of Last Battle on the Amiga. Look at that. It's a great cover. And yeah, I do remember playing this. I'm very happy to have a box copy of it. So yeah, that was super cool. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we're on to the last few big items. So I'll talk about this one first. So, because I'm going to do a proper long video. Actually, probably both of these things are going to get proper videos. I had my parents over for Christmas. We hosted them for Christmas Day, and it was fantastic to see them. And my dad brought me this. So this was a gift from my dad this year, and I actually didn't know what was in it. I don't know how to really describe it, but yeah, he brought this in from the car after we'd done our Christmas presents, and said, hey, this is for you as well. So yeah, I'll show you what it is, and then I will explain it. But yeah, it's in this very cool metal case. Very my dad, this, to be honest. I don't know, I don't think he ever had it in this, but the fact that he found this case and used it for this purpose. But yeah, within we can see there is a ZX Spectrum ZX81 machine, and it is actually the original machine my dad owned when I was a kid. I was super young when he had this, super young, but the memories are etched in my mind. I remember this being, so it's a hard thing to talk about this sort of stuff, right? But I remember this being in my mum and dad's bedroom, a little desk, and this thing was set up, and all of these tapes were on the floor in like a little wicker basket. And for instance, I've spoken about this game before, right? And now I have the actual one. So I have the one that Si sent me over there, but this is the actual cassette that would have been on that floor when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old and seeing my dad play. And there's a whole bunch of them in here as well. So yeah, when he presented this to me, and silly things like, I remember the add-on keyboard here, this kind of big rubberized keyboard. Underneath there are pressure pads, which normally you can type on, but look, most of the keys have worn away. Now unfortunately, when I gave it a bit of a dust down, some of the keys did actually get deteriorated even further, so it's super delicate, this. I am probably going to have to replace that keyboard, but I did want to just give it a polish, but it was so obviously in such a, not a state, but in such a delicate state that even a light polishing has removed some of the the whatever you call it, the symbols from the keys. He gave me this as well, which I thought was quite funny. So he's copied a load of ZX games, ZX Spectrum games onto onto SD cards so that I can play them on my PC. So we'll check that out at some point through an emulator. That's the nice thing about my dad. My dad is well into his 70s, and he is still loving video games. He still plays them regularly. So yeah, this is such a nice thing to give over. It came with these two memory expansions. I don't know too much about these, but there's an official Sinclair ZX 16K RAM upgrade. And then there was another one as well. So I don't know if anyone knows if there's any difference between these, but they're both exactly the same 16K RAM expansion. But this is the ZX Panda Stone Chip electronics. Yeah, power supply, and then a whole bunch of tapes. And some of these, once I started to sort of look at them, the memories came flooding back. So there was one that, this is a really simple game, but that casing, that image is in the back of my brain for some reason. Well, it's in the back of my brain for the reason that I remember it as a child. So yeah, very happy that this is in. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, you know. Something about me wants to preserve it, not even turn it on. I haven't done that yet. I don't know why. I think I'm a bit paralysed by what it might feel like to do so, because, you know, while I have great memories of it, and by using it, I might tarnish those memories. Who knows? Or I might break it, or I mean, I'm even gutted that I've caused it a bit of damage already. So yeah, I don't know what I feel, but some of this looks amazing. Look, Ship of Doom. Now I'm going to assume a lot of these are text adventures because my dad used to play a lot of text adventures when we were kids. Look at that one. I love the look at that one. This has got to be one of the best sort of cover arts I've seen in a long time on a Spectrum game. That looks fun. Zombies, Sword of Peace. So 2 games on there. But again, I'm going to assume this is a text adventure game. Don't know if my dad was trying to learn French at some point, but there we go. Shooting French. My dad was in the army, so you never know. That might have been something he needed to do. ZX81 Pilot. But yeah, Galaxians. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, this was a pickup, you could say, but more of well, it was a gift from my dad. Castle Adventure. Yeah, and I love the fact that it came. You know, he could have given it to me in a shopping bag, but he gave it to me in this really cool sort of metal suitcase. Looks a bit Secret Spy-ish. But yeah, really, really happy with that. So yeah, we'll go back to some other stuff. Now, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe this will appear on a Monday Night Retro. Who knows? But yeah, this hit me pretty hard when he gave it to me on Christmas Day. So yeah, cheers, Dad. I absolutely love it. Oh, yeah. So that was a big deal from my dad. And like I say in that little clip that I sort of did separately, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know whether to cast it in glass and keep it safe forever, or start playing with it. I think I want to start playing with it. I don't actually currently have a way to hook it up. I think I can use the RF in that TV there, so I just need to have a play and see if I can get that working. But oh, my goodness. Anyway, next up is one of those things that never happens to me. This never happens to me, and I see it happening to people all of the time on YouTube, especially in America, where someone goes somewhere and they go, "Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't expect this," and they open up a box and it's full of the rarest things that ever existed in retro, or they've got a lock up somewhere or someone's house. Anyway, so there's a long story to this, and it's a bit of a private story, so I can't go through it into detail, but essentially my wife came home one day. She'd been working with somebody and they were trying to make a bit of money, and they said that they had some old computer stuff. Didn't know what the hell it was, but my wife mentioned, "Oh, my husband is into this, so I can take some of it home." And she brought home a small selection of it, which is why this whole thing's kind of crazy, and I'll get him to tell you what it is and all that. So she came home and she'd recognized that something had Commodore on it, so she knew that I was obviously into my Commodore. She doesn't really get any of this stuff, and that's absolutely fine. But she came home one day with a couple of tubs of stuff, and she said, "Would you mind having a look? Let them know whether any of it is worth anything or not, and then, you know, we might try and sell it." Previously to this, some stuff had been thrown in skips. The classic, people don't know what they've got and they're throwing it away. And I don't even want to think about what that potentially was. But anyway, we won't. We'll just let that. That's gone. Can't do anything about that. It's kept me up, don't worry. But this is the stuff that she said. And she said, I know 2 of the things in there I've got Commodore on them. And she said there's a Commodore thing in there and there's 2 of them. And I take the lid off the top of that box, and the first thing I see is this here. The first thing I see is an Amiga CD32. Now remember, she said there's 2 of them in there, and she wasn't lying. Underneath this one was another one. Now I've been after one of these, and this is why it was so crazy, because it could have been anything, right? It could have been a Commodore 16, it could have been a Commodore 64, could have been an Amiga, could have been many other things. But so for the last couple of months, I've been talking to friends groups, and I've been talking to people about, you know what I'm missing? I've got the 600 now, I've got the 1200, I've got the 64. I'm really happy with all these things. I'd love to get my hands on a Commodore Amiga CD32, but one, they seem super rare and super expensive, and that's if you can even trust that it works, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'll see one at some point. I'd even mentioned to Scott at the Retro Realm, Sega Zombie, hey, you know, if one comes into the shop, let me me know, but knowing that I'd pay, you know, have to pay proper money for it and things like that. So yeah, I just couldn't believe that when I opened this box, literally the thing sat on top of the box was one of these. And of course, when I lifted it up, and there was another one directly below it. And not only that, there was also 2 disk drives. So these have a disk drive that you can attach to them, so that you can play your Amiga 1200 games and all of that. So as you can imagine, I took a deep breath for a moment, sat down, and went, wow, yeah, there's definitely some stuff in here. And then also, I might as well show you this as well. In the other tub, one of these. This thing looks like it hasn't been used. So it's a completely boxed up 1541 floppy disk, the really long one. I didn't realize how different it is to the version that I use. It is much longer. It's a much more significantly larger device, but it's in there and it's not been touched. So and then there was other stuff as well. So I'll talk about, we'll keep talking about the Amiga, and then we'll go on to the other stuff. Now this was all that was in there, so there was no hookups, there was nothing else, and that may still be in other tubs. Who knows, but I don't want to think about what I don't have. I'll think about what I can do with what I've got. So immediately I got this recapped, because when I plugged it in, I found various adapters and stuff to get it working. It had a picture that didn't work. Yeah, lines. You could tell something was going on in the background, but it just wasn't working. So I loaded, so it loaded up games. Nothing. So I reached out to a company called Retro Passion, which I will put their details below, because this is the second time I've used them and they've been amazing. So Retro Passion is a company that's down in the southeast of England, kind of near Whitstable way, Herne Bay sort of way, and they repair all things retro, and I've had them recap my Amiga 600 within a couple of hours, and it works perfectly. And they also recapped this Amiga CD32 again, I think in less than 3 hours, and I'm told this is a very fiddly, pain in the backside job to do. So I drove down there. For me, it's about an hour's drive, maybe slightly less. I take the kids down the beach with the dog. I left this with them, and they solved it. So they've got a Facebook page, they've got a website. I'll stick it all below. I'm in no way being told to ask or do this, but every time I've met with them, they've just been so nice. They generally are really nice people, and they've done a bang up job. Yeah, within 3 hours, I got a call back to say, yep, Martin, come and collect it. And it's super. I'm going to say this because maybe they'll raise their prices. I'm sorry if they do, but I also think it's super cheap, because he recapped this for £40 to recap this. Now, I don't feel like that's a lot of money when you break down the effort and the components. It feels cheap to me, but I am extremely glad they did it, and it works perfectly. So I brought it home. I then needed to buy a controller because it had no controller, and you can't use a joystick with it, I've discovered. So unfortunately, I did have to get hold of, not unfortunately, but because they're not cheap, and I wanted an original. I didn't want a third party or anything like that. I did manage to pick up off of eBay a CD32 controller, which was... It said it was unused. It hadn't been touched. Now, I'm inclined to believe him a little bit, because when I got it, the cable was wrapped tightly. It looked like it hadn't been used. It looks ridiculously clean. The end of the cable has no dog earring or anything like that. It looks in mint condition. I'm told they are a bit unreliable, and there's a fix you can do to the D-pad apparently to make them last longer. But yeah, really happy that I got that. Plugged games in. The nice thing is you can just play backup games, shall we say. So I tested that with some backup games, and it works perfectly. Brilliant. Loved it. Fantastic. It is working. I now have a fully working CD32 with the disc option if I want it, so I can play Amiga 1200 games or 500 games in there, and I'm up and running. And I couldn't be happier. I still have the other one, which I need to repair and potentially move on. But yeah, this person now has some good money in their pocket, and I have a system that I really wanted. And of course, there were some other bits as well, which I'll cover off right now. So the other thing that I got because when I opened up the disk system, I was like, oh, cool, it's a 1541. I already have a 1541. In fact, I have 2 of those, so I won't need a third one. But the thing that I was really excited about was this. Now, I've been, again, talking about, I would love to come across this at a boot fair or somewhere, which is a disc box. You're thinking, oh, great, Martin, well done, you got a disc box. But this disc box was filled with discs. Many floppy disks, and I have one for the Amiga as well, which has Amiga discs in it. And I love this because there is nothing greater for me than pulling out these and just finding what the hell's on them and if they still work. And there are some fantastic games in here. There is all sorts of stuff. There's the writing on them is obviously what someone in back in the day has written on them, these little labels they've put on there, and there is all sorts of stuff on here. This is like just hunting through treasure to find things, and also it means I've got somewhere to put my own discs. So these are discs I'm getting from the Zap magazine, which I've been putting in here, but the majority from here on in is all undiscovered treasure, and I'm absolutely loving going through these, and I've not found a faulty one yet. Every single one I've tried means they've sat in here for God knows how long, right? Must be coming up to 40 years that they've been sat around. They work fantastically. I love the stickers on this. You know, this is someone's original disc box they had. I've cleaned it up because it was very grimy when I got it, and it cleaned up fantastically, and I was able to preserve the stickers that are on there. I might even add a couple of my own stickers, you know. But yeah, I love having this generally makes me so happy to be able to sit here. It's such a geeky thing, but it means I get to sit there and just go through and find out what are on these discs and make my own labels for them. And yeah, and I've even been looking into how I can create my own discs going forward. There's some tech out there I'm going to get hold of to do that. But yeah, that was really nice. Like I say, I've also got an Amiga box as well. Yeah, here it is. It's behind me. I forgot it was actually there. And same thing. So this box actually came from Blackpool, but it's got discs in it that were loose inside the collection of stuff. So yeah, and there is potentially more. So I've said to this person, look, there is no pressure whatsoever. At least let us help you not throw it in a skip, you know. Plenty of people in the community now. Obviously, I know Sega Zombie has a shop, so there's plenty of people out there that can help this person raise a bit of cash for unwanted stuff if they don't want it. And if they want it, they can keep it, and that's great. But if they don't and they want to move it on, let's not put it down a rubbish chute into a skip. Let's get it out there to someone who would love it and treasure it and absolutely put money in their pockets. So that was that, and I think looking around, I think I've rabbited on for some time, but I think that is everything that I picked up in the recent few weeks. Let me know, guys. Did you even make it this far? Do you want me to continue doing pickup videos? Are they boring as hell, or should I do them every now and then? Of course, one thing I didn't talk about, and that's because I am saving it for a completely separate series. I will show them, but you've already seen these ones at these points. But hit squads, right? The hit squads for the Commodore 64 is what I'm chasing at the moment, and I am picking up a lot. So I have a big pile of them next to me here, ones that I've already shown in the Hit Squads Quests videos, and ones that come up in the future. Yeah, I'm not going to show them on this because I want to save them for those episodes. Oh, another thing I haven't shown you is I had a moment of weakness the other night, and I picked up these. Does anyone remember Battle Beasts from when they were a kid? I'll only show them quickly, but there we go, look. Anyone remember these? Someone was selling them on eBay. I chucked in a silly price, and somehow it got accepted. So I now own 5 Battle Beasts. They will go lovely next to my Muscle Men and also my monster in my pocket. So yeah, that's that. Right, that truly is it. Thank you. This feels a bit rough now at the end of this video, but if you got this far, thank you very much. Hit the like, give us a comment, any of it you liked. There's definitely going to be more videos coming up on that ZX Spectrum. you can absolutely expect to see the Amiga CD32 on a Monday Night Retro. Yeah, and even painting videos coming up now. I've got some actual projects I want to do. So yeah, loads of cool stuff. I'm going to go now and go back to rummaging through my disc box here, and I'll catch you on the next video. All right, see you soon. Bye bye.